All right, guys, we're back with another video today. This one is going to be a book by Tim Ferris called Tools of Titans. Most people know Tim Ferris from, he wrote the 4-Hour Work Week, which is, one of the biggest sellers in the self-development industry. But this book, Tools of Titans, is it's like his little life hacks of, things that he's figured out throughout his life. And there's all kinds of tidbits of excellent information in this book, but let's get right into it. Okay, number one, this one's kind of a cool one. Playing phone games like Tetris for 10 minutes can help you fall asleep at night. It's funny, I actually used to play a game called Tetris Blitz on my phone, but the only issue was I wouldn't play it for 10 minutes. It started with 10 minutes because I read this book and I started doing it. I started playing, okay, I'm going to play Tetris for 10 minutes per night and I'm going to fall asleep. And it helped me drastically. I've always, throughout my life, I've always had, stints of time where I struggled to, fall asleep. But then when I started playing this Tetris, I just I don't know, it just kind of relaxed my brain late at night. So 10 minutes of that and I just knocked out. But then what happened was I started building up a lot of points and I started getting more into the game and I started unlocking these cool features and eventually what happened was I didn't want to stop playing after 10 minutes. So unfortunately for me it didn't work out too well, but I have more of an obsessive personality. So sometimes I play for an hour or 2 hours at night in bed, and then I look at the time oh shit, I should have been falling asleep already. So yeah, if you're the kind of person that can, play a phone game just for 10 minutes, then put it down and go to sleep at night, then, this helps drastically. I can tell you from firsthand experience, and obviously Tim Ferriss as well. Number two, live where you want to live. Do what you want to do and create freedom in your life. This one really hits home, right? Do what you want to do, live where you want to live, and create freedom in your life. Are you living for yourself, or are you living for others, right? What others want of you, what your parents expect of you, or whatever, right? There's a story, it was crazy actually. I used to go to the gym with my cousin in New York, and there was this guy there. He was always he was just always there. We used to go, me and my cousin, we used to go at 2 or 3 in the morning. We were we were terrible. We would text each other, I would go after work sometimes, or we would text each other at 2 in the morning. I can't sleep. All right, let's go to the gym. It was a 24-hour gym. And there was this guy there that was always there around the same time as us. And he was always nice to us, this and that. And a smaller guy, just really nice. Right. And one day the topic of living in New York came up, because me and my cousin, we were at that time, we were, wanting to move somewhere warmer, move into Florida. And this topic of New York came up, and we were just basically just talking shit about New York. It's so cold, the people are rude and this and that. And I don't know, that's some way I felt my whole life, where I was just I feel like New York is not the place for me. That's the only thing I knew. I was I don't know. I don't resonate as much with New York as other people do. I was I don't really enjoy the lifestyle here or living here or whatever. So we were talking to this guy, and he was just man, he's I wish I could move out of here. We're what? You don't want to be in New York? He's then why are you here? Mind you, this is a guy probably in his late 40s or 50. At the time, me and my cousin were 21, 22, 20, something like that. And he was just oh, I just have to because, my parents and this and that. And he was basically just not wanting to be in New York, but living there, which I thought was kind of interesting, just looking at this guy's face. And he was he really did not want to be here, And I was wondering, his parents might be happier if he's happy, right? If he goes and lives somewhere where he wants to live, or does what he wants to do and creates more freedom in his life, takes off those shackles, right? And, I think that's very important for everyone to do that. And, if you're living somewhere and you're like, I absolutely don't want to be living here and I want to move somewhere else, then you should absolutely do that, right? You should absolutely do that. Don't be afraid to let yourself go in that way where it's like, you're doing what you feel is best for yourself and not what your parents want you to do or what your cousins want you to do or what your friends want you to do. You're living authentic to who you are. And I think that's very, very, very important to have a high quality of life, and it'll bring you some more happiness. So yeah, I think that's a very important thing. And like I said, for me, like that moment was like, the first 18 years of my life, I already knew. I was like, I don't want to be in New York. This is not the place for me. I don't know why. I just knew this isn't the city for me. This isn't the place for me. I don't like it that much. And that's not to say like I'll never like it. My feelings change sometimes. Maybe in 10 years, I may really want to live in New York. I don't know, right? I just don't know. But it's just something to think about. Number 3, getting angry or frustrated will never solve a problem. So there is never a need to get provoked. Okay, think about the last time you got angry at a certain problem that you had. You got really frustrated. You got angry about it. Did that solve your problem? I would say the answer is no. Getting angry or frustrated is not really going to help you in any way, right? It's just going to make you feel worse, right? Your problem is not solved out of frustration and anger and That's not how problems get solved. You have to sit down. You got to think about things logically, not let your emotions get in the way or cloud your judgment towards things. I used to let a lot of like little things like this get to me emotionally, like back when I was younger, or like if I felt this surge of emotions, I felt like I had to let it out and express it and get angry at something or someone, and then like that would fix things, and it never worked. It just made things worse every single time. Not only did it not fix it, it made things worse every single time that I expressed my anger or frustration outwards. It actively makes things worse, right? So next time you get angry or frustrated, my best advice for getting angry or frustrated, you want to detach yourself from the situation immediately. So let's say there's somebody that made you angry or frustrated. Go in a different room, wait till your emotions have calmed down before you take any actions or anything. Like wait till you're actually in a calm place. Because when your emotions are running high like that, it's very likely you're going to do something impulsive that you probably will regret doing later. So that's something to keep in mind whenever you get angry. This is any strong emotion. Like it doesn't have to be angry or frustration. It could even be when you're really feeling anxious or really sad about something. Usually you'll say things and then later regret it. So if you're feeling like a strong emotion, just kind of, step back from the situation a little bit, take perspective. And then when you clear your head a little bit, sometimes it'll take a while. Sometimes, depends on what it is, but sometimes it might take a long time. But if you let that anger out, you let the anger and frustration out, if you bring it outwards, the thing is, those emotions are likely to last even longer, and you're likely to have, messed up some friendships or relationships or whatever. So you want to just really take some deep breaths in, calm down, and then once you're calm, then have a conversation from there. Number 4, and the last one, okay? Is it possible? Ask yourself this. Is it possible to accomplish your 10-year goals in 1 year or even 6 months? Is it possible? Think about what you want to achieve 10 years from now. Is it possible to achieve that in 1 year or even 6 months? Right? Give it some serious thought and challenge yourself to get it done in 6 months. It will bring you strong desire, okay? Or bring you strong desire and make you feel alive. You're like, oh, what are my 10-year goals? Let's try to get that done in 6 months. How do we get this done in 6 months? When I first read this in the book, I was like, wow. You know, just thinking about my 10-year goals, and I'm just like, now, like, you know, thinking about getting it done in 1 year or 6 months is like, your brain's like, whoa. Like, it just kind of gives you this surge of excitement. You're like, wow, like, maybe it's possible. Let's do it. What can we do? How can we get this done? Right? And so just something to think about. Just something to think about, because a lot of times we're like, oh yeah, like, you know, 10 years from now, I'll do this and I'll do that. Oh, I'll move out of my city that I don't like 10 years from now. What about 6 months from now? What can you do to get it done 6 months from now or less? Right? Well, the more you think about this, the more you're going to feel alive. You're going to feel that excitement, and you're going to start to enjoy life more. Okay, and be, you know, live more in your authenticity, right? So the number 2 just really stood out for me a lot. The live where you want to live, do what you want to do. Because a lot of people, like, the reason why number 2 stood out to me so much is that when I was younger, I never really understood it. When I was living in New York, I was like, as soon as I, you know, had enough money to move out of New York, I did, because I wanted to, right? But then, you know, when I go back home, a lot of times, you know, from my friends and stuff in New York, they're not so happy over there. They're not so fulfilled over there, but they never really do anything about it. So I always wondered about that. Like, why, if you don't like a place that you're in, if you don't like what you're doing for work, you need to change something up. Okay? You need to change something up. Not to say, like, I'm not one of those guys to preach, like, you need to love what you do and this and that. Not that you need to love what you do, or not that you need to be in love with the city that you live in and everything is, you know, rainbows and butterflies. You know, you'll have moments like that, but realistically, you want to be at a place where you actually feel somewhat good, sometimes at least. You know, somewhat good, sometimes at least. You know, it was funny. I was watching a movie. With my girlfriend the other day, and in this movie, there's this guy. He's like this miserable guy. Like, he seems miserable. He's like this miserable guy living in a small town, and, you know, this girl asks him, she goes, hey, Cal, are you happy? And he's like, you know what? I'm happy enough. That's what he responded with. He's like, yeah, you know, like, maybe I can do something else. I can do this and that and this and that. But you know what? I'm happy enough. And that was a big moment in that movie, which is very interesting. It doesn't sound like much, but it's just something to think about. Do you want to just be happy enough? I'm just happy enough, whatever, right? Is that how you want your life to go? Just happy enough, whatever? Or do you want it to be incredible, right? And you could live an incredible life. You really can. You know, whoever's watching this video, I promise you can. You can live a very, very good life. An incredible life. One that you love. Right? You can live a life that somebody else wants, but it won't fulfill you because it's not what you want. It's what you think the life you should be living, or whatever it is. You want to live a life that's, you know, true to yourself and like something that you actually want. So what it boils down to is you need to figure out what you want, where you want to live, how you want your lifestyle to look like, and then take steps to get there, right? To make that happen for yourself. And I'll leave you guys with that. And let me know if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, advice that you need, whatever it is. Just drop it in the comments down below. Like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.